Welcome to the Mind of Reason, and if you are a subscriber, welcome back. And today, I'm covering World War Z, as this game is actually better than I thought it would be. Now, my first impression of the game was that it was cool to see the massive horde, and it was pretty much just like a somewhat cooler Left 4 Dead. But since I grew up with brothers, when I learned it didn't have split-screen co-op, I wrote it off. But since I'm older now, and we actually are able to play it, my opinion completely changed. I actually believe it's so good that I'm going to play it again and beat it again about 2 more times, I'd say. Now keep in mind, I'm not saying it's the best horde shooter ever, but I'd say it's pretty great. That said, I did play this with my bros, as I do most multiplayer co-op games. So keep that in mind, as that means I'm not speaking from a solo perspective. Now that we're clear on that, I hope you enjoy this dive into the game, as I think it's actually an underrated co-op zombie horde shooter. So we'll go ahead and start with an overview of the core of the gameplay. To start with, if you know anything about zombie shooters, then you know the Left 4 Dead series. This game's core is essentially inspired by Left 4 Dead 2. You got the tiers of guns that you'll find throughout the levels you're playing. Every level goes from point A to point B with some objectives, defense/survival events sprinkled through. You have the special infected to make things much more difficult, and obviously it's very teamwork oriented. That is the core, but World War Z isn't just a generic copy. It adds some gimmicks and interesting additions to the gameplay in order to make it stand out as its own thing. Those being the overwhelming hordes of zombies and the class system with different builds in each class to experiment with. I'll only give examples of builds from the class I've mostly played, which is the Slayer class, but I am planning to hop back on and use a different class and fully level that one up. Actually, probably two, I would say 2 classes. But anyways, the horde gimmick was really cool when the game was announced, seeing it in the trailer, and it's actually still cool to see now when they brought it back in Warhammer Space Marine 2. But the other addition is the defenses and traps that help you fend off the impossibly massive amount of zombies that will be coming your way. Now, I mentioned it before, but the class system allows for you to make certain builds with each class. But there's something else that's interesting about them, which is that every single class has a special equipment to use to even the odds. And at last, the previously mentioned special infected. They made sure to experiment in this game, so the special zombies here aren't a carbon copy of Left 4 Dead's specials. Instead, they can be quite unique, which is much appreciated. Overall, this is an underrated co-op horde shooter that you should definitely give a try with your friends. Hell, I'd say it's fun enough alone, but the intended way to play is with the team, so keep that in mind. If that all interests you, then that's dope. But if you want to see more in order to really help you decide, then keep watching, because this game is worth it. To really start this, I'll go with the music and graphics. First, music-wise, it's not super memorable. In all honesty, the music is very much in the background, but it's not bad music, it's just nothing to write home about. Now, the graphics, those are actually really decent, and the level design and atmosphere actually genuinely impressed me. There are some really cool or super beautiful looking background parts of the level.
Did you go right?
Yeah.
Right. Down? Okay, that should be good.
Oh shoot! Get out of the way! Get away! Here we go.
You missed.
Nope.
Nice.
Listen, guys, in case this doesn't work.
Perk.
Yeah. I have a perk so that I don't take as much damage.
To do what?
to kill the bomber in a good way. Guys, cover me, I'm
Oh,
getting
I
hurt.
didn't mean to do that.
Well, what are we? We're French, right? Or we're Australian?
Well, I think we're Australian.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're Australian.
I don't know though.
Cutscene time.
There's a
There's
big
like
bomb in there or something?
5,000 pounds of explosives.
Yeah.
Already?
Why does it matter?
I guess that's their zombie hole.
There's also the excellent sound design, I believe, that should get a great amount of praise because everything sounds amazing. From the hordes to the guns and explosions. I mean, not only are these some of the best explosions in gaming, but they sound super crisp too. All in all, the graphics and sound design really take the cake here, I'd say. Now we'll move on to the guns. There are 4 types of weapons in the game: the primary, secondary, special, and the melee weapon. Now the melee weapons have 3 types: light, medium, and heavy. Now before we get into the melee weapons, I need to mention that there is a specific stamina system for the melee mechanic, so it doesn't affect your sprinting, which has its own stamina meter. The most important thing though is to not run out of stamina, because if you do, then you melee much slower and you lose any benefits like the auto lock on that the melee does so that you can hit enemies much easier. But since you lost that, you're going to be a lot more vulnerable. So in that case, you got to take a few seconds to recover your stamina. Then you're good to go again. Back to the weapons though. Now, light melee weapons strike fast and focus on killing zombies fast and have the smallest knockback. The knockback is actually the main reason to melee, as it will give you breathing room when zombies swarm you and you don't have time to reload. Alright, well, moving on to medium melee weapons. Now, they have overall balanced stats, so you swing just a bit slower, but you do more damage and have a larger knockback radius. Not much else to say. Now, finally, the heavy melee weapons. These weapons knock back many zombies near you, do the highest amount of damage, and you kill 2 zombies instead of 1 per swing. But you do swing slowly, so you gotta make sure to not mistime your swings. To be honest, I preferred medium and heavy the most, especially because of the class I used, which is melee focused. But aside from that, one last important thing to know is that if you melee and you keep pressing the button, you'll do a combo. And during the combo, depending on, the certain amount of hits you got, you'll be given bonuses like 100 plus more damage on the 3rd and 4th hit, or on the 5th hit you get a stamina bar back, or on the 4th hit you hit 2 more enemies, stuff like that. It's pretty cool, and it's especially useful to know, so make sure to use combos. After that though, we'll get into the ranged weapons, which are, as mentioned, separated into primary, secondary, and special. Now before we get into the specific guns, I gotta go over the tiers, which can go up to 4. Now tier 1 is the starting weapons. Those are the ones that everybody gets obviously at the beginning. Then it goes 2 and 3, with 4 being the special weapons, and tier 3 being the highest regular weapon tier. Now the difference between regular and special is that once you use up a special weapon, that's it, you can't get more ammo. Also, for the regular weapons, you can actually level them up and upgrade them, and even get accessories for them, which gives you even more to work with regarding your starting weapon, which is something I'll talk about later. Now that we got that out of the way, let's move on to the secondary weapons. For the first tier of secondary, it's just a pistol, machine pistol, and a flare gun, which is actually super useful against the rat swarm enemy, and also zombies in general, as it attracts zombies and explodes after a little while dealing a decent amount of damage. After that, the next 2 tiers just have better pistols, machine pistols, a few shotguns, and a grenade launcher, which is actually pretty useful when it's a horde event and they're trying to climb on walls to get to you. After that is the primary weapon. Now, there really isn't a lot to say here. It's composed of the most basics like SMGs, assault rifles, marksman rifles, shotguns, sniper rifles, and that's about it. And don't get me wrong, the guns are great and satisfying to use, but it only gets unique in the 3rd tier, with the best weapon in the game being the advanced combat weapon. That gun is a beast that demolishes everything in its path. To be more specific, it's an assault rifle that shoots explosive rounds. The only other standout weapon to me is the light machine gun, which is actually a tier 2 for some reason, I don't know why. But yeah, like I said, all the other guns are dope, but the advanced combat weapon, LMG, and actually now that I think about it, I guess the combat shotgun are the most memorable guns for me. Anyways, we gotta move on to the special weapons now. So the special weapons are, as previously mentioned, the 4th tier weapons, and consists of a sniper with, I believe, 10 explosive shots, so, it's also goated. A chainsaw, which is cool to use and is great against hordes, of course. A light machine gun with explosive rounds, so it's better to shoot the ground than the actual zombies. A grenade launcher, which is decent, but nothing to wax poetic over. And then there's the 2 rocket launchers. The first being the RPG launcher, which is a one-shot use only, but it makes up for that by having a large blast radius and by leaving a pool of fire behind, so you have to be real careful so that you don't blow your team up with this. Next is the multi-shot rocket launcher. It speaks for itself. The damage radius isn't that big, but it does a lot of damage and can be used to decimate hordes or special enemies. Both are great, just for different situations. After that is the flamethrower, a decent special weapon that can set hordes on fire. It's pretty badass, but from that low, I believe the last weapon is the full auto shotgun. Honestly, the gun appeared a lot more than the other ones, so I had a lot of use with it, and I'd say it's pretty damn useful. That gun melts hordes like in an instant, but it's not really easy to use against certain special infected. It's still decent though, but my favorite is the chainsaw. Chainsaws and zombies just go together like peanut butter and jelly. Overall, the guns in this game are all pretty damn satisfying to use. No real complaints for me. What's up? It's editing reason here. So there's actually a few things I forgot to mention when writing the script, mostly because I was writing it from memory essentially. But in game, like in the match, there are I believe about 3 or so upgrades. Maybe there's like one more that you can actually pick up while, you know, running around in the levels. And if I remember correctly, one of them, which you actually probably saw in the footage here, but one of them makes it so that your melee damage is much higher. You're better at meleeing. One of them is like more ammo in general for all your guns. And I believe the last one happens to do with equipment. I think it's like probably an extra equipment charge, or you know, it's more effective, something like that. So I forgot to mention those in the script, but yeah, they're upgrades that do help you a lot. So, you know, look out for those, and they look like bags in the ground. You know, you like I said, you probably already seen it from this footage. And the second thing I forgot to mention, which is extremely important, is there are breaching charges within the levels. Again, like I said, you don't get them out of level, you get them in level, and essentially those are used for specific doors that you can breach. Now it's usually going to be maybe 1 or 2 supplies. It could be like a couple boxes with, you know, maybe higher tier weapons, a special weapon, equipment charges. Actually, I believe that's about it. Yeah, so you want to make sure to get those breaching charges, especially because they'll be very useful for a lot of the defense, like the, you know, the horde defense situations you'll encounter, because a lot of those do have a couple containers you can breach into. So make sure to look for breaching charges. They're super useful. They can help you in a pinch. Anyways, that's it. Back to the regular video. That said, let's move on to the class system, which is simple in and of itself. You choose a class, and as you play, you level up, gain an upgrade point, and at certain levels you then gain access to multiple perks. However, the classes don't just give you perks, they actually affect your gameplay style from the get-go, as each class has specific weapons, attributes, and weapon preferences. To give an example, I dabbled with a few classes, but I eventually settled on the Slasher class. Predictably, it is focused on melee, and it starts you with a compact SMG, and your melee attacks damage 2 or more zombies, as well as having the bonus that when you run out of stamina, you still swing at the same speed. Now, even though the class starts you with an SMG, it doesn't mean you have to only use them. It's just more beneficial, but you can use whatever weapon you please. You know, they kill zombies all the same. But of course, this specific class has perks that lends itself towards SMGs. Like there's a perk that makes it so that you reload SMGs much faster. There's a perk that gives your starting SMG a silencer, which is actually one of the best accessories in the game, and so much more. However, every class has a special type of equipment, and for the Slasher, it's a stun gun, which when used stuns, I believe, at most 15 or so zombies. All that said, perks make this class not so clear-cut. The main essence of Slasher is a sort of tanky class with melee, so there are perks that make it so that you can't be pinned down by usual zombies, but it doesn't affect certain special zombies. Or there are perks that do stuff like increase your stun gun range and target count, or they make it so that your stun gun can revive down teammates, or you can give your stun gun more ammo, or if you're meleeing, you take 100% less damage from friendly fire, and other interesting perks that you can mix and match to either make a tanky build or more support type. For me, once I got into the higher levels, I usually set up perks for a sort of support build with the stun gun revive perk. I take less damage from meleeing zombies. After a certain amount of kills, my primary gun reloads automatically, and I got extra stun gun charge. But on occasion, depending on if we were stuck on a certain mission, I would go for more of an actual melee focused tanky build, which consisted of me getting temporary health whenever I killed a certain amount of zombies in a melee combo. After being pinned for 5 seconds, I would escape, which, while that perk sounds useful, in 5 seconds you could lose a lot of health. Still, this was used just in case. It could prove useful in certain situations, and a few other perks that made me a close quarters beast. The class system here is not the most in-depth one ever, but it's fun to mess around with, and you have a decent amount of classes to mess with anyways. Now let's move on to the zombie types. So we'll get this going with the lurkers. They're shirtless dudes in red track pants, and they usually wait around corners to pounce on you, though during hordes they get pretty bold and will attempt to pounce on you in the open. When a lurker pounces on you, you're pinned down and have to wait for someone to kill it, otherwise you are pretty much dead meat. And most of the time he looks to pounce on someone that is alone and far from the group, so keep that in mind. Next are gas bags, which are zombies in hazmat suits that are bright yellow, so you usually see them pretty easily in a crowd. These guys are dangerous because once you kill them, they release a gas cloud in the surrounding area that will damage you continuously if you stand in it. If you headshot the gas bag though, then no gas will leak. So it's best to be accurate against them because their gas clouds can make a lot of situations far worse and harder to manage. After that is the bull. These guys are dressed in riot armor and charge at you, and if they grab you, they continuously slam you into the ground, at which point you just gotta hope your teammates can get you and, kill it fast enough. He is a bit of a bullet sponge, but he does have a weak point on his back, so it's not the worst thing to deal with. Also, if you manage to dodge his charge attack and make him slam into a wall, he will be stunned for a bit, so you can use that time to try to shoot his back and kill him. But if he decides not to charge at you, which he can do, at that point it's better to try to shoot his helmet off his head, because his head is actually another weak point. Moving on is the Screamer. This zombie usually calls forth a horde that will not stop until you find him and kill him. And whenever he screams, he's usually pretty far and out of sight, making you have to search for him. But the game gives you a break in that he is highlighted when he's screaming, so you can see exactly where he is. And if I remember correctly, he's stationary, so he can't really run from you. The next zombie is the Infector. She's pretty dangerous and unique in that she tries to shoot you with an infectious ball of spit, and if it does hit you, then you gotta take the time to disinfect yourself, otherwise you will instantly die within seconds. I'd say 5 seconds. And I don't think I mentioned this before, but whenever you die in the game, your corpse will become a zombie. With the Infector, the zombification happens instantly, whereas regularly, it takes a bit of time before you become a zombie. Aside from that though, once you do enough damage to the Infector, she will fall to the ground and then you will have to melee to kill her. Okay, that's not completely true. You can shoot her to death, but she is highly damage resistant, so it's better to melee her. And that's obviously the case, since when you melee her, it's a one-hit kill. Now, the next threat is the Bomber. This guy is simple. He runs at you and he blows up, but you do get a few loud beeps before he explodes, so you can try to minimize the damage. Unless you're fighting a horde and you don't notice him, then you're going to get the full force of the explosion, which is not pleasant. However, you can also use him to kill a decent amount of zombies if you do spot him within a crowd, so it's not all bad. And you will spot him, as he is fully kitted with military gear and a blinking red light that stands out. The cool thing though is that if you shoot him precisely in the legs or anywhere that isn't the chest, then he will fall down to the ground, and you only have a few seconds to melee him in order to defuse the bomb. If you don't melee him, then I'm pretty sure he just explodes, but the reason you'd want to defuse the bomb is because if you do, he'll drop some goodies for you. It's kind of a more dangerous and interesting version of the Survivor Zombie from the Left 4 Dead DLC campaigns, except you gotta be delicate in order to get the goodies from the Bomber. Now, the second to last zombie is the Booster. These fellows are actually the worst, since they got gas clouds surrounding them, and if they get close to other zombies, they will be boosted to be much faster, stronger, and more durable. And if they get you, they'll actually pin you down into the ground and start beating you to death. So when those bastards appear, they are priority number 1. Also, they can infect you if they manage to melee you, but they stand out so much that they should usually be the first ones you kill on sight anyways. And lastly, the Juggernaut. This guy is bullet spongy unless you shoot his face mask off, which will then allow you to shoot his face, which is his weak point. But that's easier said than done, as he will either melee you or he'll do a charge attack like the Charger, except he doesn't pin you down when he hits you. Instead, he just sends you to the ground. However, aside from aiming for his head, you can actually focus on shooting his knees, which will actually stun him long enough to shoot the shit out of his head and kill him. All that said, even though he's the last zombie, the biggest threat in the game, and I truly do mean it, are the mass horde events. Those, even alone, are difficult, but paired with the specials, make for the most intense parts of the game, and also the best. Now, to finish this, we'll talk about what you actually deal with regarding the campaign. First, there are actually multiple episodes, with every episode being a different story in humanity's war against the zombies. Most end with the crew escaping, while some end with an objective having been completed, like a specific place being destroyed, or a massive horde being erased. Because of that though, I never really got attached to the characters emotionally, but at least they were never really annoying dialogue-wise, like Back 4 Blood. Now, what you actually do in the missions are, like I mentioned before, point A to point B, but with objectives to move you from area to area. And they all depend on the story, of course. Like, some off the top of my head are heading into a lab to get research from a computer, escorting a researcher, which means every time you encounter zombies, you gotta deal with his dumbass being swarmed and pinned down every minute, escorting a bus full of survivors, which means, of course, that you gotta deal with a horde of zombies climbing on it, and the game gives you a certain amount of time to kill all the zombies before it's game over, or like a certain campaign. They actually have a challenging gimmick where it's a snowstorm, so you have to turn on nearby heaters or you'll slowly freeze to death, which was a nice little challenge, and, well, mostly a bunch of defend against massive horde of zombies moments. Honestly though, and I know I'm repeating myself, but out of everything, those crescendo events are the best part of the game. The timer on the screen telling you how much time you have to set up before a horde arrives really makes you race to get everything in place. And what you actually use are stuff like an electric fence, barbed wire trap, automated turrets, manual turrets, as well as boxes full of special weapons that you'll 1000% need. And as you level up more and switch to higher difficulties, which you will, because difficulties are tied to your current level, so you can't play the hardest difficulty at the start or you'll get obliterated. The higher difficulties will force you to use everything you have just to barely survive certain hordes. The worst we had to deal with was during the campaign in Japan. That was an encounter we barely got through and only after 5 or more attempts. We kind of had to perfect the level to beat it. If you get close to the mortar, it tells you where it's gonna shoot.
Juggernaut.
Yeah, Bloody, help him take on the Juggernaut. We gotta focus on this. I gotta focus on this. Oh, watch out! They're coming! They're coming! They're coming!
Wait, Juggernaut down! Juggernaut down!
They're coming! All right, that's it for that.
I found defenses here.
No, there's still more.
Machine gun set.
Oh,
Finally,
that's
I
pretty
found
useful.
another turret.
Rest in peace.
Damn, the homies are dying, bro. That's not good.
Yeah.
Now we gotta defend the other
Juggernaut.
gate.
Go towards it.
I'm down.
Shoot him, buddy. Shoot him.
You're probably gonna die, dude.
Shoot me, dude. Just shoot me. Thank you. I wasn't infected.
How's it go?
Go where? Oh,
To the turret.
all right. I'm going.
I need to
I'm going.
refill ammo. I need to refill my ammo for the grenade launcher.
You need to
mainly.
cover me though, bro, because they're gonna come after me.
Yeah, they're on you.
Rest in peace.
Shut up, buddy. All that practice did not pay off. We're losing.
All right, I got him.
Just mowing them down.
I need to get more ammo. Can you give me some like extra health real quick, bro? I'm gonna need it.
Ian, you just love walking in front of me.
You didn't hit me. It's okay. Watch the gate. Watch the gate. I'll watch the gate.
Whoa,
I
how does this guy
The
take more than one
gates, the
hit?
gates.
Juggernaut incoming. I'll try and take care of him. I'll try and take care of him. Juggernaut. He's done. He's done.
Mm-hmm.
Watch out,
to
zombies
reload.
are still coming.
They're coming after you guys mainly, so we're
Need to
good.
reload.
Oh crap!
Bloody, can you get me, like, give me like extra health?
Lord, give me strength.
Cause I'm about to die. I'm about to die if things go wrong here.
They're
Thank
over,
you.
bro. They're over. I'm doing my best.
So they're over.
Nah, I got this.
Over
Trust
the
me.
gate. I'm infected.
I'm down. I'm dead. I'm dead. Yeah. I'm infected.
I'm dead.
Rest in peace.
Oh,
You infected? Damn.
no, I'm good now.
Oh. Okay, okay. I'm gonna go real quick. I need to refill my ammo.
Oh my god,
I'm
this
dead, by the
freaking
way.
chainsaw came right in, bro.
Oh, I'm dead. I'm dead. Oh.
What,
got you,
you're
bro.
infected?
No, he meant like he got down.
Every
we
time
did
you
it.
get down, oh, I'm dead. I'm
We
dead.
did it.
Oh.
We actually did it.
No, we didn't. There's no way. Oh
Yes,
my
let's
god!
go.
Oh my god, bro!
Who's that fourth dude? Who's that
Oh
fourth dude?
my god!
Use that for
Holy
Who's
shit!
that fourth dude?
That was a literal roadblock, bro.
And then you're gonna see like that one dude. Can you beat World War Z without anybody dying, without any
Without
civilians or NPCs dying?
Mm-hmm. Anyways, that is essentially how the game plays out. I'd say it's almost an underrated gem. However, the only reason I don't hop on it as often as I would Left 4 Dead 2 is because this game is fucking 40 plus gigs, while Left 4 Dead 2 is like 12 or something. Still, I do plan on coming back to it and at least fully leveling up the drone operator and the class with Molotovs. It's fun, and that's all I really care about. Speaking of fun, if you like me have played the game and enjoyed the mass horde gimmick, then there's actually a survival game mode where you can experience just that, but every level makes it so that once you complete a certain amount of waves, it moves you to a different area to defend against. And there's a shop system, so you can buy traps, turrets, special weapons, higher tier weapons, and ammo boxes. I'd say it's a pretty fun and solid survival experience. That one that I at least enjoyed quite a bit. And you can actually beat it, but I think you gotta make it to wave 50 in order to win, which is easier said than done. In conclusion, I think World War Z is better than most people know, and they should eventually give it a try with a couple of pals. But make sure to get the Aftermath version, as that's the best starting version of the game. Also, it goes on sale pretty often, so you shouldn't have to wait too long before that, and I'd say that as much as I like the game, I wouldn't buy it at full price. Like I said, it's close to being a gem, but I wouldn't say it's $40 good. I've said all I've needed to say in regards to this game. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, go ahead and like and subscribe if you want to see more. And also comment, because I always appreciate those. I'm still debating the next game, as it's either going to be between Dead Island 2 or some smaller game. But if I do go with Dead Island 2, that one's going to take a decent amount of time for sure. But I'll do my best with it. Have a great day. See you guys next video.